I guess it doesn't. It's only you and me in this holy day, I guess. Oh, there's Justin.
Hello. I'm a little surprised to see this so empty.
It seems Santiago's having like microphone issues.
Yeah, all
Everyone will
right.
hear our beautiful voices, Justin. Do you like toucans, Justin? The toucan in your shirt.
Oh, this is the In-toto mascot. This is
Oh,
Indigo, the Indigo macaw.
I see. Are there, where are they native to?
Um, they're, I think they're native to South America. I don't know. I know a lot of those birds are native to kind of the um, Australian area and stuff like this.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a
Let us see.
Brazilian parrot. Um,
Costa Rica all the time. Like you can see, well, I guess not that one, but other ones sometimes just like hanging out in the middle of the city, which is like interesting because they're very bright. So,
mhm.
guess there's
Yep.
more of us now. More of us. More of us.
All right. I want to copy a few people's info into here.
Does
And
my
then,
microphone work now? Can you hear me?
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and I'm
Uh,
cloned. It's two of I.
Santiago 1, Santiago 2, and the attendees.
You don't know who's the evil one.
The only
Wow.
thing better than one
Evil.
Santiago is two Santiagos.
Yeah, the internet can only handle one. We're about to have like matter, antimatter explosions.
let's see. John, Reza.
Yeah, I think they're kind of
Oh
technicality.
no.
You just assume so.
Okay. I think you lagged a bit, or it might be me, Santiago.
It is me. The Zoom like so heavy that so I tried to use the browser one, but it doesn't detect my microphone, which is incredible.
This is the AI robot Santiago instead of
It really is. It actually really is, and I cannot disable it anymore. So it's just shoving. And it also causes a seg fault. Like launches a process to transcribe. It seg faults. It restarts it. This all happens in less than a second. So like my computer is like just logging a bunch of core dumps, and that's what makes the thing
Are you
lag.
getting supply chain?
Let's just go there. So we're 6 minutes in. It says that but there's people waiting for the host starting the meeting.
they're waiting to join the wrong meeting then.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. I think- okay, in the meantime, I talk to the agenda. Do you want to know another fun fact about bad software. All Electron apps use the same socket to write notifications. So they will race each other. If you have like Slack and Zoom and a browser open, like any Chromium instance, they're going to fight to the death to get a lock for the dbus notification daemon. We're destroying computing as I knew it. Okay, now we have more folks. Doesn't feel as empty. There's not a lot of items on the agenda either, so I am comfortable either waiting a couple of minutes more, see who else is joining us, or we could have a shortish meeting. Oh, and I had a hope that Pascal was joining us, so I'm glad you're here. As a reminder, please do add items to the agenda if you have something you would like to discuss. I certainly have a big item that I would like to talk about. Hopefully it's goes quick though. Yeah, why don't we go ahead and start now that we have 8 people. So welcome everybody. This is April's iteration of the In-toto community meeting. Here's where I would remind you of the LF code of conduct. We abide by it, so please respect it. The short and sweet of it, if you haven't been in a call like this, is be respectful. Yeah. As usual, we have an opportunity for new community members to introduce themselves. I know some new callers, but I think it would be good if they introduce themselves if you'd like to. I'm not going to single anybody out. Maybe I should. I don't know. Can you hear me well though? Or is my computer freaking out?
Yeah, I can
Ish.
hear you.
Yeah, hear well.
Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah. Any new members would like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Pascal. I'm a fifth-year PhD student at Purdue University. I'll be graduating in 2 weeks' time or defending in 2 weeks' time. I work broadly on software security, both detecting security vulnerabilities and building mitigations. And recently have been delving more into reproducible builds and that ecosystem. And yeah, thank you. Later this year, I hope to join Google as a full-time engineer with one of their product security teams.
Welcome, Pascal. I'm glad you joined us. I think you and Savannah would have a very good conversation if the meeting goes where I think it's going to go. Anybody else would like to introduce themselves? I know everybody here, so sometimes I don't know if somebody has introduced themselves already or not. We'll take that as a no then. And so next up we have elections. Finally, I was able to muster the time to work through the election process. There's a PR on the community meeting that describes effectively the process. I would share my screen, but I'm afraid of the technical consequences of that effort. If somebody wants to share it, I think it's, I tried to keep it short and sweet. We just didn't have a process in the community to do so. So I tried to encode something that I think just reflects the general consensus. There are 2 main items in here. One of them is the process and eligibility. I think there's nothing that I would call too controversial. Effectively, there is going to be a nomination period, 2 weeks of nominations. There's going to be an election period. I also chose 2 weeks, mostly for symmetry, but to give a reasonable time window for people to get to vote. This is not much different from, for example, project votes at the CNCF level. So this is kind of where I borrowed the page from. There is the second item, which is the election itself, April being the month where we're going to be carrying out elections. There are processes for nominating yourself or nominating others in there. It pretty much is make sure that somebody in the ITSC, the sitting ITSC, is able to see it. I will be pretty much directing the effort, but since we are 3 active members of the ITSC, please feel free to reach out to Justin and Jack if you would like to do so. Nomination eligibility is pretty much, are you a member of the community? And that is the same for a voting eligibility. We have described what a member of the community is in the governance, so you can go refer to that. For this election, we have 2 seats that are opening. If you know Trushank, I spoke with him a little while ago. Effectively, he said that his new job doesn't let him participate in open source as much as he would like to, and that he doesn't feel like he can continue contributing, at least as a member of the ITSC. We also had a departure due to some disciplinary action. I don't think I can elaborate much on that. So that leaves 2 industry seats open. And I think that's probably ideal in that we can keep some continuity and onboard new members without doing a full fresh slate voting period. We were way overdue elections. So I think doing something, carrying out something smoothly would be ideal. Afterwards, we will probably have regular elections. This is why I was focused on trying to come up with a process that we can rely on moving onwards. There's a couple of decisions that I made in terms of avoiding one being there needs to be a mechanism to enforce and avoid abuse. The way that we carried out the original election was effectively trying to do it by IP address and so on and so forth. By rerunning the numbers, I'm a little bit concerned that that was botted out by some people that wanted to win. So this is to say, the ITSC will look at the voters and ensure that they're eligible to vote in order to provide privacy as much as possible without getting into like crazy crypto stuff. We are going to build a platform in such a way that you don't know what the vote was casted, but you know who casted it, if this makes sense. Of course, there's side channel attacks and whatever, but I think we're a friendly community. I was semi-tempted of dropping this privacy requirement because I think a lot of people would be okay with knowing what they voted for. But at the same time, I think we're going to try to accommodate some of the more like old school open source. I am borrowing a page from the Arch Linux trusted user vote. This is effectively how it works. We know the quorum. We know that people are eligible to vote. We don't know how they voted. The only way to know is if somebody actually goes and does an SQL query. But that's logged, and if somebody does that, they get kicked out of the community, and this has happened before. I think this covers the basis. I'm going to leave the floor for any comments, any sort of like pushback, any changes, suggestions, any thoughts, anything along those lines. Marcel.
You've already said this. What? So this is just kind of like a temporary election process, and then there would be a full one, I don't know, in 6 months or something. Like, yeah, what is the kind of time frame for that?
No, one of the reasons it took me a little while to actually do the full announcement is I wanted, I was between that decision of making something like emergency style or just using this opportunity to set up the governance foundations to actually do something that we can recurrently do. I am leaning towards the latter. We can just vote people in and then have have the rest of the seats effectively the clocks be reset. So, for example, people that are still sitting ITSC members at the end of the vote will be here for a year or two. I forget if the period is 1 year or 2 years. But now we'll have other people that will be sitting uh, for like an extra year or an extra 2 years, which will allow sort of like the shuffling in and out without losing continuity. I saw you thumbed up, so
Yeah, no, that
great.
makes sense.
Anything else? Any other thoughts? Any other suggestions? Change discussions? It may look long, but I don't think it's that. I don't think that's crazy long, or at least that's my hope. I'll give also a little bit of time if somebody wants to kind of like go through with a fine comb. Okay, so I assume people got a chance to skim through. Uh, this is, I didn't expect it to be controversial, but I thought it was going to be a little bit more discussed. But if that's not the case, I'm glad that I hit the nail on the head, and that we can move through this smoothly. I'm going to ask the other ITSC members though to merge this pull request. I'm afraid of like imposing this down on people, and well, then we'll kick off the election period. Hopefully by May we can celebrate with 2 new ITSC members. I already have penned down 2 candidates, so at least we could do a default sort of like a rotation without too much controversy. Cool. Should we move on? Who has the mic for the next one? I think that's Sivana. Why don't you tell us what you're up to?
Yes, I mean, I haven't done that much. I did do the PR of the storage mechanisms and friends. I did do something that was like automating like something with tables, and from what I understood from Justin, it might have been too much. So just let me know what we need to change with the PR and friends. I don't know if we want to also restructure that repository a bit more because I added like from what I remember, it was like a folder with subfolders of like all the different storage mechanisms where like I had found stuff. I guess apart from that, we're just figuring out what the like what is the ideal behind the or what are we like trying to focus on. But yeah, I mean that's basically just tell me what to do in the PR and I shall do.
I am a
Yeah,
little.
I don't like the yeah.
I wonder if you could give us a sort of like an overview of what this is about, mostly because I
Yes.
invited Pascal to join
So
us, and I think he's interested on
yes.
this.
So, I mean, that PR was we had a list of places last time, right? That I had like a Google Doc. And then the idea was to actually, I mean, I got some comments also from people who were like here last time. I also checked the list that you told me was the in total, I guess it was the same repository. Anyways, I've been like, I mean, among other places that I found like where people are storing stuff. Again, we might be missing still some stuff. And then I get I guess the overall feedback was sort of like put it somewhere and then we can figure out if this is how we wanted it to be or that. And then the only, I guess the weirder thing was just that like, well, when I was telling Will, he was like, you should just automate the table, just like when you regenerated in the friends part, because it has like certain like fields. That's the whole code part. Everything else is just like, okay, what the page had, and then it was just like the table automating. If the table automating is too much, just let me know and I'll just delete that. And I guess that's like what the PR basically is about. I needed more details. I don't know. But yeah, it was sort of like just like the each file is a different like storage location. I wasn't prepared to give like a very long talk about this today, so yeah.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
I know, I'm good, I'm good. But yeah,
Uh,
again, also I think after we have this in a location, and then if there's stuff that's missing, right, we can then update it and so on and so forth, right? Like sort of like the friends, right? But yeah, I don't know like how we want to like manage this in like friends or somewhere else or what.
I
But
think
I
Friends
don't
is a
know.
good
Yeah.
location.
Okay.
To fill a little bit more detail here, especially again, I invited you, Pascal, so I feel responsible for your for this. Savannah
Did
has done
I
a
put?
really sorry, am
Yeah,
I
you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good.
okay. So Savannah has done a fantastic work trying to understand where are attestations stored. Even within Sigstore, attestations are stored like in 2, 3 different ways. So GitHub Artifact Attestations does the sort of like the bundling and then put it on an OCI registry. There's some inline attestations. There's Archivista. There's this new Vomit attestation storage thing. So
Mm-hmm.
this is sort of like large scale longitudinal work of like taxonomizing all of the ways people have stored and verified attestations is like a big lift that we're doing to try to not only communicate with users, but maybe even enable researchers to know where to look for this data.
Mm-hmm.
So this repo is, I'm scrolling through this. Am I right in claiming that there's 16 or so different attestation
Um,
locations?
at least, or ways of people doing it, probably more. I'm not very sure if I
Yeah.
was as exhaustive as I would have liked, but this also doesn't include what people are doing internally because I was like trying to look. I might be wrong about this. Please correct me, right? But I think I don't know if like if JFrog has like its private or like I mean I know Chingard does stuff privately too. Like I don't I just know that there's like private stuff. I might be wrong about JFrog, and please correct me if JFrog does have a public location and then I'll add it there.
So
Yeah, but I mean, at least Changard, I know some of they have like the public ones of the ones that they do have, and then they have the private ones that from what I understood from um, Billy what's his name, last name? And at this point, I'm like just
Liz
Billy.
Lynch,
Any,
yeah.
yeah, Lynch. Anyways, I know that some of their attestations are stored, like they're Dizzy's, but they're privately. Yeah, there's like 16. A complicated heads. Yeah. But yeah, if anything's wrong or if anything's missing, you should, yeah. I think John has also a comment, I guess.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think the chain guard ones are probably just stored in OCI, in the chain guard registries, next to the images. And JFrog has, as a part of Artifactory, mechanism for storing attestations. So it's more of a idea maybe of like you can store your attestations in Artifactory, but it's not a general purpose for public consumption or things like that. It's more of an organization generating their own attestations may use that as a location to store them. That's my understanding of it, though.
Maybe I'll ask again, Billy. Just to confirm too. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, that I guess that's basically it. Um, and yeah, let me
I
know
have
what I
a
have. Yeah, yes.
I have a question about the script. So how do you automate this? Or is this just aggregating these
This is
files that
just
have
a
like
it's just a
individual?
table. It's just a stupid table that like in
Okay.
adding it to the README. We can just delete it. I'm fine if we delete it.
No,
It's just to make our cute table again and again.
uh, I think it's great. I don't know why I assumed that it was like calling different endpoints to check if they were
Oh
vetted
no. I am doing that, I guess,
properly.
right now internally somewhat, like not fully, but like I don't have anything, I guess, that like I know also I saw the Porco started using the list too, which is good. But yeah, no, this is not that. I wish it was like everything automated. Not yet.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm more happy to review this knowing that it's just a table formatting script.
Yeah, it's just a table. And then
Way
remove
less
the pull
controversial.
requesting, remove the pull request, whatever GitHub with that. I was like, let's just automate this. Haha. I didn't think about
No.
it.
Um, No, this is great. There's also the question you had about like what is the purpose of the act, right? And I think it was an informational act that we wanted to
Yes. So
yeah.
I think this Wednesday, I think we scoped it a bit more because I was like, I think when we've been discussing it, there's like a lot of like ideas of like why people are producing these attestations or other stuff, right? And I think we're focusing the eye right now, at least just on storage, but that does also include storage of stuff that's like in the attestations that might be somewhere else, right? That's what I understood from our last conversation. Um, but it's like storage generally. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
don't have enough. Yeah.
I think that's good. And I remember there was you, you folks have been working on a document trying to like taxonomize different like what does it mean to store an attestation, right? As
Uh,
in there's like aggregators and there's like just dump
yes,
storage and yeah. So
yes.
I think that that is important to know because I think ultimately we need to have a strategy on what does it mean to sort of like deduplicate and resolve and stuff like that. Like, that's kind
Yeah,
of the big.
I guess again, I have yet to have something that I have ran it fully at scale. When I do, I guess I'll let you guys know about exciting results. I mean, I ran this stuff like I mean in some repositories and stuff, at least my infra that I have like collecting data about this. And I mean, there's some people that, I mean, but it's very rare that there's like duplicate attestations that I've noticed. I think it's more like old school when people could like have the attestations in Six Store and then they would have them there. But again, I don't have like any, I wish I could give you numbers, but at one point we will have numbers, so that's good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I wonder if a parallel effort would be then now we have all of these sources, should we try to just siphon all of them, put them on a data set, and then
I guess that's what we're trying to do, I guess, for my project, right? That we're trying to like then collect them. Then I'm trying to do other stuff at the end. But yes. That was always within my or our plan, I guess. So thank you. At least it makes sense. So yeah.
yeah, I think at least that data set should be highly cited and an important part of a PhD.
Yes. And I guess like also, I mean, I guess this is outside of this. I mean, if I had the data set streaming or any of us doing this, right? I guess with the Axios attack too, like recently, is they were doing trusted publishing. Like I was like, I don't have it streamed. That'd been so nice. I mean, I did ran it, and then like before that, you could get the trusted publishing like at the station because we were like discussing it this week. And then like people say like, yeah, there was no trusted publishing in the last version that got like compromised. So you can like see like cool stuff with that, but yeah, I mean we don't
That
have.
is, yeah, that is the whole point. And I wonder if we need to like ring the bells. Like there's no attestation because they didn't they actually just compromised NPM, right? Uh
They
if
compromised the account of the maintainer, and
but
he
on
they have.
NPM, right? Not on GitHub.
I'm not sure. I saw today that they did like a very complex, like they had him like going into Slack, and there was like a web call and everything. It was very complex actually. The getting
Okay.
his thing his a credential, but that wasn't the credential that they would use for OIDC publishing. So when they would publish, there would be no trusted publishing, even though they got that credential.
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line, that ultimately this is the type of things that are prevented by In-toto, right? If we had more strict policy enforcement, people would be like, this artifact is from the right account, it's on NPM, I can download it, but there's no record of it coming from trusted publishing. So I
Mhm.
don't trust it, right? I think ultimately the problem is that we don't have a very good story on the verification side.
I
But
think
I
it's
wonder if we want to
also,
write a blog post.
I think there's, I think there's a lot of stuff to get to the point where we could do this at scale. Because like we can look like retroactively at like some of these cases, but then you also have like cases like Flask, right, where they were like, I mean, I think it said it last time or one of the times, right? That they like again, I've just done like some small examples, but like I saw that they changed from like doing salsa to trusted publishing because they're like, well, we're doing In-toto, right? So it's sort of like there's some nuance on like how do you like, I mean, In-toto enables a lot of stuff for like forensics and like doing like detection and anomaly, which I wanna too, hopefully. But yeah, I think it's like cool. But I have no results fully to share it with yet. I will share them.
Yeah, I actually would love to at least write a paragraph, say on the eventual In-toto data set paper, saying like how many, if people were looking at these things, how many of these major hacks would have been stopped, right?
Or might have been.
Um, might have been stopped. Yeah. Okay. Any other discussions here? We're half an hour in.
I will now just be an observer.
Um, just related to you guys' conversation about trusted publishing and the likes and the recent attacks. Um, to what extent is this in total or attestations generally to what extent is there a way to track like adoption by um how do I like companies in terms of enforcing like attestations on their own end? Like talking about the verification of attestation, is there a way to track who's actually verifying attestation versus who's not, or seeing who's very like basically who's actually verifying these attestations? Is there a way to track this?
There is an unfortunate. I'll talk from the sort of like sixth door side of things, which I think it's related. There, the only way to really truly know if something is being verified is if we put telemetry on the verification tools. You can know if an attestation is downloaded, and that tells you something, but that doesn't tell you whether they downloaded it as part of a bundle or they did something about it. So we have had a very long conversation, and I think we're actually leaning towards adding telemetry on some of this verification tooling, and that's a technical lift. How do you make it anonymous, and how do you like say make it IRB compliant? But it's an open question. We know that some very sort of like clean room deployments do very good attestation verification. But doing it at scale, I think it would require some technical capabilities that we don't have.
I
Okay,
guess
yeah.
if you also generate a VSA or something, technically, or like an equivalent attestation to that, you would at least know that somebody like produced something at the end that said like, hey, something happened. Maybe, I don't know. Like, I mean, also I feel like, I mean, right now I've been actually looking for like how can we connect this to like maybe more like I guess from a broad policy statements or something, but like I also like it seems that a lot of people who are like storing slash producing these attestations, what they're really checking is themselves. From like let's say like Red Hat is like checking if everything's like working with conform and that. So but I don't know like how would we like track it in other ways yet, I guess. I guess. Yeah.
Just filling in a last detail. Savannah and I think a bunch of other folks are meeting regularly to talk about the attestation discovery problem. So if you may want to join them, Pascal, and just kind of listen in and maybe provide some perspective on tool building, I think that may be of interest to you. On Yeah. Anything else? Should we jump to a KubeCon EU update from John? I'll take that as the floor is yours.
All right. And Justin, feel free to jump in for any of your observations. We had probably the main thing. We had a booth in the morning hours in the Project Pavilion area. We had more or less constant traffic during the times which we were staffing and open. We had good coverage overall. I think I was there quite a lot though, and Justin was as well too. So hopefully we can get a few more of the folks in North America to help staff the booth. And there were kind of three main categories, I think, of people who came up to the booth. There were the people who come up and they say, what is In-toto and tough? It's really complicated. I went to the landing page and I read it and I have no idea what it is still. And so they were kind of looking for just the basic introduction. Then there were the set of people who came up and they're like, I'm a huge fan, but I can't get my company to use In-toto. I would really love for them to use In-toto. And then there were the people who were often consultants at really large companies that are like building this entirely complicated system on their own of how to use In-toto throughout their entire supply chain. And they had very detailed, specific questions about how to solve a particular problem. And I really encourage those people to come into the community and share a story about what it is. And even if they can't say who it is they're doing these things for, to like just talk about the problem, because we as a community love to try and help people solve hard problems. But we'll see if any of those folks come by or not. There were also, this is kind of a note for myself, there were a lot of questions around tooling kind of after we give the high level introduction to the idea of In-toto as a framework and the specification. And then people are like, yeah, but then how do I do this in real life? And we didn't have as many slides for like Witness and Archivista and the Salsa GitHub generator and things like that. So a few more details on that, or maybe as like backup slides for that. The problem is the conversations span the entire breadth of the ecosystem, which is huge now. So trying to capture that in a set of slides that play in the background is challenging. So we also on Monday there were for Open Source Security Con there were a couple of talks. One was Justin and I'm blanking on the master student who also gave the talk on Get Tough. So we had a lot of people come up and ask questions, and they would look at Tough on the sign and they say, "Is this also Get Tough?" And Justin had some good conversations with those folks. And then Puerco and Andrew had their salsa medium or mild to spicy talk, which also brought quite a few folks over to kind of ask about some of those things. So that was a good talk as well. Yeah, but overall, it was really good to meet people and get their experiences. I talked to one person. He's like, "Yeah, last week I just tried Witness," and I'm like, "That's awesome." It's motivational. It kind of gives you some energy to hear if people are actually using this stuff. Yeah. And we did also have some conversations with some of the CNCF staff around just trying to increase the visibility and the profile of the projects as well too, because it's an area that we haven't necessarily taken advantage of the marketing support from the CNCF, but we've seen this a couple of times where they're actually using In-toto or they're using Tough and they don't know it. And so how do we kind of make that more visible and prevalent for folks? So if there is a survey that comes out and they're being asked about CNCF technologies, they actually will record, yes, we're using In-toto or we're interested in it because they're using Salsa or they're using, the example I always give at the booth is Homebrew. If you're doing a brew install, did you know you're actually doing an In-toto verification and you're using attestations? But yeah. Marcella?
Maybe for future reference, but there's quite a bit of chatter about In-toto starting to come out of the ML space, so ML pipelines. So that may be another way to sort of keep folks engaged and say, hey, AI is the cool new thing that everyone wants to talk about. So here, you can practically use In-toto and Salsa at least in the same ways that you would in sort of a quote unquote regular software supply chain, right? So yeah, just thinking of that sort of intro you're talking about and how the full picture works.
I was just gonna say, I know Promful uses In-toto, I think Salsa specifically, which is like a library. I think like an alum. I was checking attacks to see if they were using In-toto or not, but that one wasn't. But like you can technically just record. I think there's another project that also that's like doing like LM AI stuff. Oh, I forgot. But there's some projects that are already using In-toto in the space that I know.
Yeah, I think there's some transitive also. Like there's a bunch of stuff that uses Sixtor and makes Sixtor bundles, which in turn creates internal attestations. Uh, I
which has a
remember there's some other.
which has a root of trust
Huh?
stuff, which
Yeah.
you know we can
Yeah.
we can all of a sudden wrap everything around.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna have a bomb it S-bomb, and then we take over the world, right? We fixed it all. Um, yeah. Cool. Anything else about Cube Cutting You? We're almost 3/4 in. I see that there's
I
some
guess I
items.
should did I had to like not listen for a moment here, but the SBOM workshop and interest there was extreme. And so there's I think a very good chance that we're working to make it so all the CNCF and OpenSSF projects will all be generating in-toto attestations and storing them somewhere that we will turn into SBOMs. So we would definitely appreciate help with getting fixes and stuff into Witness, and a bunch of other folks from Santiago's lab and my lab are going to be working to make all of this like high quality.
It's exciting, really exciting. And I think it's a great segue into the witness updates. I don't know who that is.
I'm guessing that will be me as well. Let me just double check what I put here. So I think maybe actually I'll start with the network tracing stuff. We were able to do our demo of SBOM with witness tracing using a eBPF program and a man-in-the-middle proxy that was all bundled directly into Witness itself. So that was really cool to kind of see all of that come together, to have that attestation with tracing of the process level, all the files, all the network calls, the hosts that we're connected to, the contents that were downloaded, really being able to have all of that context to then provide to SBOM it and generate a actually accurate SBOM. So kind of the finally being able to demonstrate and visualize the proof for the folks that were in the room. One of the things that this kind of leads to, and I don't think we've made any final decisions around this, is a combination of the end user experience for this. It's having to do a witness run as root is not probably where we want to be in the end, but also like there are certain requests. So how do we probably need to develop a more formal threat model around this, just in terms of being able to show, um, you know, if Witness is going to load the eBPF program and it has to run as root, like what are our expectations then around the way in which it should invoke the process that it's observing? Probably not also as root, which is a thing that I saw some interesting behavior doing that myself. And then also, I think and more generally as well too, things like the config file and the attesters and things like that, just kind of being able to document all of that a bit better. People have a lot of expectations about what it does or doesn't do, depending on the environment or what they think the intent is, and that doesn't always match the maintainer's expectations, or probably, in my biased opinion, reality about what it should do. But if we don't communicate those things to people, then it's hard to say, here's a document you can read and better understand this. So and then for the reason I put V1, V2, we're not actually at a V1 with Witness. However, chatting with Aditya and Mikhail, one of the things that we would like to do is to move everything forward to be more spec compliant and standardized, having using the actual proposal for Disney extensions, being able to support things like Sigstore bundles in the way in which Sigstore could sign things with extensions, the policy sorts of things, trying to do all of those as new things and maintain support for Witness's own version of the Disney envelope structure and the Witness policies and everything, like, is just too much. And so the idea we have right now is to more or less take where we are at today and kind of mark it as the V1 and have bug fixes, dependency updates for a certain period of time until we can encourage people to move to V2. Obviously, we have to do all the development of the V2 stuff, but optimistically, hoping that a few of us will be able to do have some more committed time to work on that, then it'd be really good to move in that direction. So, and my dog is eating my shoe, so I'll be right back.
Hey, that was a lot. Any thoughts, comments? Well, I think this is very exciting. I don't have much to add other than let's chart along. I think this is really cool. I hope your shoe is safe. Should we jump into the maintainers CSV? This is something I should know, but I'm actually a little bit out of ideas as to what it could be.
Yeah, so this has come up in a couple of different avenues, which is the maintainer CSV is the official file the CNCF has about who the maintainers of the project are. With In-toto, I think we have historically, or more recently, had the members of the ITSC listed as the maintainers for the project itself. But given the number of sub-projects and the restrictions around things like maintainer talk proposals, you can only submit one if you're in the list of the maintainers.csv. The other thing that's maybe more interesting or potentially useful for folks is CNCF has a deal with GitHub where they're giving GitHub Copilot Enterprise out to basically everybody who's in that list. So if people are actively working on a project and are interested in being able to leverage Copilot Enterprise, being on that list would be super helpful. I don't know that there's any special benefits that we should not I don't think that there's voting privileges or other things that maintainers would be able to take advantage of that the ITSC wouldn't see or be aware of or I don't think there's going to be a takeover of the project if we put more people in maintainers.csv. Groups like OTel and Core Kubernetes, they have dozens of people listed under those projects. So it doesn't seem as though there's a limit either to the number of people we can put in there. So, and there was a thread in the ITSC channel about this, and Justin said, to paraphrase, it seems fine to him, but we should not just make the change on our own. We should bring it up here. So,
no, I think that's fair. Why don't we make a quick sort of because this maintainership is already encoded somewhere in the community repo. So I could just copy paste that over. And I think that's at least a good start. Then we can quibble about who's in, who's out in this list. But I think having a single source of truth is really what we should strive for. And yeah, I mean, we already have our list of maintainers, right? This is also something that we have been we worked for to get the graduation going. I'm surprised that there's yet another file that I need to track, but that's how life is, right? Any other thoughts here? If no, then I'll take the AI of just copying this data over and then working towards that. I am tempted to also just formalizing the attestation storage sort of working group. And crown Savannah as the PDFL of it. But we'll cross that bridge when we get
I
there.
don't know what that
Uh,
even means.
uh,
PDFL.
uh, Benevolent dictator for life.
Benevolent dictator. Ooh.
We have 8 minutes left though. There's two items. There's audit of In-toto's orgs, repos, workflows. That's a security problem. I assume that's also yours, Sean.
Yeah, we went through, I'm in the process of going through all of the stuff for Witness and Archivista, and there's nothing like excessively dangerous there, but just making sure actions are pinned and all that sort of stuff over time. Things decay slightly. And I have no idea what the state is of all of the other projects that are less maintained. I think it was the brand new SBOM repo. We had go install without a version, without a digest, just at latest, and someone immediately called us on it. I think they came up to the In-toto booth after the SBOM conversation. So security conscious projects, security related projects should definitely be security conscious. So, which we all know, but I don't
Absolutely.
know
Yeah.
like there probably should be a person to do this or maybe this would be part of the updating the maintainers document. Santiago, you can say we will add your name to the list if and only if you ensure that you audit all of your projects, your sub projects GitHub actions.
I think that's a good carrot and stick. I like it. Yeah, I think long term maybe it'll be a good idea to have a template. Uh, at least with Sixstore, we basically have like the GitHub Actions template repo where like any new repo just kind of like borrows from that. And I think there's an easy way to kind of like keep that in sync so that there's a best practice. Say you need to run Sysimore or something like that, you just kind of borrow from there. I think we need some guidance there, but I'll do a little bit of digging. Um, Anything else? I think it's just it's another AI for me. uh, if not, then Marcella, why don't you give us your updates?
This should be very quick. So the In-toto attestation repo, excuse me, recently really cut the 1.20 release. And so I already saw in at least one other repo that I maintain that the Go package was updated thanks to Dependabot updates. But I think we need to specifically push a 1.20 version to PyPI, crates, and maybe even Maven. I don't know if we've ever pushed into attestation libraries to Maven. I don't have the superpowers or keys for that, so it's a bit more of a PSA.
I think I have the commit bit on all of those, but I'm like terrified of doing it because every time I do it for Maven, it's just so much work. But I'll chase around any other co-maintainers there, and if not, then I'll pick up the slack.
Okay. Yeah, no, someone actually called us out on PyPI specifically, opened an issue saying, hey, there's a very old, like sub 1.0 version or very early 1.0 version on PyPI. And we were like, oops, that's not good. So, yeah, really trying to rectify that and, release things when they actually come out.
I don't like pointing fingers, but Aditya, aren't you co-maintainer on PyPI? And you're a better engineer than I am, and maybe more intentional, and maybe able to update this.
Yeah, I think I will do that today or after this call. So sympathy.
That is great news. Okay, well, yeah, let's do a quick checklist on those updates. We'll push them to the right repos, and yeah, fantastic. We have 4 minutes left for any other business. Does anybody else has anything they would like to bring up?
I have a very out of left field thing, which is I've been pushing and pushing and pushing about getting standardization stuff going. I just got a response from Ryan Wyatt at Microsoft that basically says something that may help to unstick this. Santiago, we need to get Bob from Google to give us like a quote or something. And then I think we push this with Joanna Lee. For right now, let's push DISI because DISI is the least difficult thing I think to do. And then once that happens, then we'll continue to try to push In-toto standardization as it to be an official, like under a standards body rather than just a standard that everyone. Okay.
Yeah, no, I was even tempted. I don't know if folks know Filippo Valsorda has this sort of like, oh, let's make our own standards body for open source standards. But I was like, maybe that would be faster. But yeah, I'll touch base with Bob. I think this is really crucial for the ecosystem. Like we're relying on this on all of these projects. We need to encode it in standards body. So I'll do that today. I think that's enough waiting. Anything else? Any other business?
Scott, are you going to ICSI? I think you're going to ICSI, right? Because I'll also go to ICSI. I guess that's like outside of this, but to meet you. We're both like PhDs, I guess. Oh yeah, I guess you're about to graduate, but yeah.
Yeah,
Or-
unfortunately, I have a paper day, but I won't be attending.
Oh, okay. And then we'll meet
Yeah.
another time then.
Yeah, I mean, we can schedule the call and have a chat.
Yeah.
Where is 60 again?
Brazil.
Brazil.
Oh, okay. There was one of these conferences that was in Abu Dhabi that they were like not sure if they were going to have it online.
Oh,
Was it .da? I forget which one it was.
yeah. I know there's the WWW that's supposed to be in Saudi Arabia or Qatar,
Mm.
which
That's a problem.
I should see the Indigo, what's it called? The Indigo Macaw.
Oh yeah,
That's what you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
were saying. It's in Brazil.
oh,
We should ask the CNCF to make this plushies of an indigo macaw. I think I would
oh.
litter the world with them. And yeah, only Justin has the total swag right now, which there it is. That's indigo the macaw.
No.
I have a bunch of them in my office too. Okay, well, that gives us 1 minute of our time back. It was, as always, a pleasure. I hope we run into each other before a month. We'll certainly be engaging with the election, but yeah, great seeing everybody. Take care. Let's continue doing cool stuff. Bye.
Hi, Santiago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just a quick one. Maybe I'll use the one. So is there like a maybe Slack group or somewhere that you guys interact with on outside meeting?
Yes, I will send you details over Slack because I need to run now. But yeah, there's a CNCF Slack. There's a bunch of In-toto channels in there. If you go to cncf.io under community, you should be able to get an invite for that.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Bye-bye.